Hi, I'm Kaycee, and welcome to the Hello Flow podcast, a space where we bridge together professional success and career alignment with personal well-being and spirituality. At a time when many people are awakening to their soul's purpose and navigating that messy but magical middle, I offer this space for growth, well-being, and spiritually grounded practices to support you in your daily grind and pursuit of embodying your Dharma. After tuning into this podcast, I hope you receive the inspiration, empowerment, and applicable tools to usher in more ease and flow in your life and equip you as you discover, develop, and evolve your Dharma. Now on to the episode. In this week's episode, I'm really excited to talk about purpose, passions, and how they relate to your career path. There is a general movement in the world today where there is serious reevaluation in both career and lifestyle. People are wanting to do more meaningful work, live a life, and hold a career that is more aligned to their values. There's a lot of questioning around whether or not their current job is what is meant for them in this lifetime or in this chapter of life. So if this is your first time you are tuning in, my name is Kaycee. I'm a certified Dharma coach and human design reader that specializes in bridging together career success and alignment with well-being and spirituality. And in today's episode, I'm going to break down these terms and how they relate to our overall well-being. At the end, I also provide questions or prompts you can use at home to get you started on discovering and weaving in your purpose and passions within your career path. So I want to bring this back to well-being and purpose. If you listen to a couple of my previous episodes, I briefly talk about the different pillars of well-being. If you haven't already, tune in to episode 5, Balanced Ambition, and episode 7, Curating Your Well-Being Kit and Creating Your Practice to learn more. In these episodes, I outline what I see as the 10 dimensions of well-being. We are going to address a couple of those today as they relate to the topic, which include occupational, vocational, and spiritual dimensions. So let's start off with the occupational dimension. This is quite simply your job or your primary profession you do for work. It is what you do to earn a living and pay for your financial responsibilities. I would also categorize under this dimension things like workplace wellness, job satisfaction, professional development, and sustainable and balanced ambition, which is a new way to think about the traditional term of work-life balance. A vocation, under the vocational dimension, takes it a bit further. It is also something you do around work productivity, but there are a few differences. One is that it is tied to your personal values. 2, you find the work meaningful. And 3, you feel like it enhances the overall quality of your life. The other difference is that there may not be monetary exchange, or you can have a vocation that is voluntary. Think pro bono work or contributing to your local community with little to no pay. This doesn't mean your occupation can't be your vocation. It absolutely can, and I think that is what people who want to find purposeful and meaningful work is going for. It just means that there are other avenues for people to find and deliver their calling where it doesn't necessarily mean leaving, for example, a successful career they've built up over time and aren't ready to leave. The work you do in a vocation serves a higher purpose. It provides you greater fulfillment and is tied to your calling. Both occupational and vocational can be tied to the lifestyle you want to live, where one is perhaps driven by having the financial means to live a certain lifestyle, and the other driven by freedom around things like time, location, not being tied to an organization or reporting structure. And ideally, you may want to achieve both, right? So the spiritual dimension, I believe, is closely tied to vocation, but it goes broader than work productivity. It is finding the purpose and meaning in your life. It is living your life, participating in activities, and being a part of communities and organizations that are consistent to your beliefs and values. Purpose is inextricably linked to service to others and society as a whole. This can cross over to occupation and vocation in that, are you participating in work? Are you a part of an organization or group or a mission that is aligned with your personal values? This is also the dimension where I would include Dharma, your soul's purpose, which is the energy and the essence in which you thread across all parts of your life. It is what you are meant to express in this lifetime and in service to the collective. So, what does this all have to do with purpose, passion, and your career? Let's start off with your career. It's something that over a long period of time, you train for and develop skills, knowledge, and experience in through different jobs, roles, education, and training you've held and accumulated over time. Your career is something you look to advance in, most likely in exchange for pay. If you are career-oriented, you are thinking about your long-term professional development and advancement. Now, there are different ways of advancing your career, but we will cover that in a separate episode. Your career can be categorized as your occupation or vocation. But with the world we live in today, most people focus just on their occupation, specifically trying to find an employer that matches with their values, but stop there. There is an overemphasis on keeping up with the Joneses and hustling to create more income not only for yourself, but for your employer as well. This oftentimes comes with personal sacrifice to emotional and physical health. Now, when I talk about finding your purpose, that to me is more of like your personal calling. It can span across the vocational and spiritual dimensions of well-being. Research shows that those who find and follow their calling, their vocation, regardless if it's their occupation or not, that work is more meaningful and fulfilling and leads to greater overall happiness and well-being. Dr. Shonda Waters, Vice President of Executive Advisory at BetterUp, says, "People with a robust sense of purpose regarding their professional lives often enjoy better physical health and emotional well-being, and a life full of meaning and goal-driven personal growth is circular. The positivity your work brings encourages you to make healthy decisions in other aspects of your life. And good physical and mental well-being provides you with energy to pursue your calling. Finding your vocation really can be life-changing." So the final piece I'm going to talk about is passions. Sometimes this gets interchanged with purpose, but your passions are your interests, perhaps even hobbies. They are also typically emotionally motivated. You feel strongly about them. You can have more than one passion and they can change and evolve over time. It's ideal that whatever job or occupation you have, there is a certain aspect about it that you are passionate about. This drives you and provides self-motivation in your job. So now you know the difference between all of these terms. First, the difference between the occupational, vocational, and spiritual dimensions of well-being, how they relate to what we define as career, and then the difference between purpose and passion. There are some crossover and gray areas between these terms if you were to look up the definitions, but what I went through are how I refer to these terms and how they relate to each other. Why I think it's important to address this topic is because when we talk about making a change in career or transitioning in the professional realm, we often think about occupation and or what are we passionate about and how can we get a job that we're passionate about? Or even further, as I mentioned earlier, how can I work for an organization that aligns with my values? While those are absolutely important to consider and have as part of your overall evaluation of what's next, I would encourage you to return to your personal values and identify your calling and your purpose. And consider those just as, if not more important, if you are looking for long-term, sustainable, or aligned change and transformation. Most people think about, okay, what's next? How do I move up? Or how do I do something I'm passionate about? Or how do I work for a company that I'm passionate about or brand that I'm excited about? Again, really important things to consider, but also think about your core values, how you are currently living by them or not, and then map out a way that you can start being in more alignment with those values. Now I'm going to shift a bit as I got some great positive feedback on including exercises you can do at home as it relates to the topics I discuss on the podcast. So I'm going to try to include these across as many episodes going forward. As it relates to your vocation, your purpose, your calling, here are 9 questions or prompts you can go through at home to start thinking about what they may be for you. Now, I will say there are other tools other than self-reflection that you can use, specifically metaphysical systems and frameworks that help you identify your life's purpose and path. I will be going over those in a new and separate series that I'll be announcing soon. But for this episode and for this series, here are a few that you can do at home. 1, what are your personal values that you are prioritizing right now? How are you currently living by them? And how are they, or are they not, being reflected in your career? 2, when you think of what you are here in this lifetime to do in service to others, to the world and to society, what comes up and why? 3, what of those things have a unique need in the world today? Is there a demand for it? 4, what are your natural and unique gifts and talents that come really easy to you, that you've received compliments on, that others see in you that you may not see in yourself so easily? This is a question that you can lean on trusted community to help you on. 5, what are the skills, experiences, and knowledge you've accumulated over time that you enjoy doing and want to continue in your career path? 6, how are you adding value to others, the world, society through your years or decades of experience, knowledge, and skills? 7, what are things that you are passionate about, you have strong interest in, that you'd like to address and or weave in your career somehow? 8, how can you express and or deliver those in a way that is unique to you? You can think of this in the form of platforms or the way you deliver and express these gifts. And 9, finally, how can you exchange these gifts in a way that there is monetary exchange? This is not an all-inclusive list, but it can help get you started when you are thinking about your career, your vocation, your calling, how you make a living, and weaving in purpose and passion. I hope you found this episode helpful. Send me a message on Instagram or on my website. Both are linked in the show notes. I'd love to hear how you are thinking about your career as it relates to your calling and any other thoughts you had on this episode. And now I will leave you with a quote from one of my favorite thought leaders I follow. His name is Adam Grant. He is a New York Times bestselling author, organizational psychologist, and professor at the Wharton School. He says, "Following your passion is a luxury. Following your values is a necessity. Passion is a fickle magnet. It pulls you toward your current interests. Values are a steady compass. They point you toward a future purpose. Passion brings immediate joy. Values provide lasting meaning." Thank you so much for listening to today's episode. I would love to hear what resonated with you, so follow and DM me on Instagram at Kaycee Can and let me know. You can also find other ways to stay connected with me by visiting the links in the show notes. Thanks again for tuning in, and see you on the next episode of the Hello Flow podcast.